The U.S. just completed talks with Iranian leaders about ending Iran's nuclear enrichment programs. The talks did not yield a deal. In San Diego today, Iranian Americans showed their frustrations during a protest. Our Gary Buzel is live in studio tonight with details. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Jeff. When Iran changed its president back in August, it sparked hope with the Obama administration a goal could be reached to stop its nuke program. Here in San Diego, Iranian Americans are upset and warning us any deal we achieve with them could be a fantasy.
President Obama, listen to us. Free hostages is a must.
Iranian American protesters took to the streets downtown, sending a message to President Obama about Iranian leader Hassan Rouhani.
And we're here to say that Rouhani is not a moderate, and Obama meeting with him last week is a spit in the Iranian people's faces.
Last week, President Obama's Secretary of State John Kerry met with Rouhani in Geneva.
I'm delighted to be here at the invitation.
The 2 days of talks, Kerry emerged with no deal, but optimistic one could be reached soon.
With good work and good faith over the course of the next weeks, we can, in fact, secure our goal.
Iran has been under scrutiny from the international community for uranium enrichment programs. Iran insists this is for electrical power production, not nuclear weapons.
And I think you'll see a bipartisan push by the Congress to do two things. To introduce another round of sanctions. We believe that sanctions and the threat of military force is the only thing that's going to bring the Iranians to the table.
And this news isn't sitting well with Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu.
It's not only my concern that this is a bad deal. There are many, many Arab leaders in the region who are saying this is a very bad deal.
As Kerry packs his bags and leaves Geneva, Iranian Americans continue to warn the Obama administration that Rouhani is not one to negotiate with.
Well, we want President Obama to know that having talks with Iran is not going to get anywhere. For the past 30 years, the U.S. government has tried to have talks with the Iranian regime, and they've gotten nowhere with it.
Talks between Iran and the U.S. are scheduled to continue on November 20th. Secretary Kerry remains optimistic to reach a deal. Reporting live in studio, Gary Buzel.
Dozens of people lined up outside of Horton Plaza today to protest executions in Iran and demand the release of 7 Iranian hostages being held at refugee camps in Iraq. Since Iran's new president, Hassan Rouhani, took office in August, he has overseen 200 executions, including 40 political prisoners publicly hanged in the past 10 days. In September, 7 people were taken hostage by a group of militants during an attack on Camp Ashraf that also left 52 people dead.
We have a gang of, a minority who's ruling the country, and they're just killing, oppressing, and destroying the whole nation. I would say that easily more than 90% of the Iranian people are against the government.
This protest was hosted by the Coalition for Human Rights and Democracy in Iran.
A group of Iranian Americans gathered downtown to protest the recent wave of executions in Iran under the new president's rule. The rally was hosted by the Coalition of Human Rights and Democracy. In the past 10 days, around 40 people have been publicly charged and hanged by the Iranian government. Some of those who attended today's rally outside of Horton Plaza Mall have lost family members and friends to the violence, and they are urging President Obama to take some action.
In Iran, the over 300 people that have been executed in Iran are either political minorities or ethnic minorities or political prisoners. We're also here to tell Obama that Rouhani should not be taken as a moderate, but seriously in the sense that he is duping the West once again.
It is reported more than 200 people have been killed since Hassan Rouhani became president. And despite 3 days of negotiations, diplomats say they have failed to reach a deal to put an end to Iran's nuclear program. Officials from a half-dozen countries, including the United States, were negotiating with Iranian leaders in Geneva. They proposed to ease sanctions on Iran if the country agreed to dial back its nuclear program. No agreement was reached. Iran's president says his nation will not answer to threats, and now lawmakers in Washington say they'll push for even more sanctions.
No, no, no.
And here in San Diego, local residents rallied downtown today demanding the release of Iranian prisoners. The group Coalition for Human Rights and Democracy in Iran says 7 people were taken hostage during a raid of an Iranian camp in September. They want the U.S. to demand their release. The United Nations says at least 52 people were killed during the raid.
Well, negotiations on Iran's nuclear program will take a break for a few weeks after failing to reach a deal. Meanwhile, today at Horton Plaza, a group gathered to protest the executions of political prisoners in Iran.
Free 7 hostages! No, no, no!
Those protesters waved flags and held pictures of loved ones who have died. They call a wave of executions since the new president took office.